I don't care if you're brand new in your job, if you think you're an expert, if you're a 10 out of 10 or a 2 out of 10, it matters very little. What matters is how you show up to your leader.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Revenue Problem Solvers podcast, where we try to crack the code on growing your business by tackling the challenges that keep revenue leaders up at night. I'm Carl Ortmans, and on today's episode, we're going to dive into a pretty spicy topic, and that's the topic of change management. Today's podcast is sponsored by the great team at Virtual Causeway. Traditional demand gen is breaking for a lot of teams that we talk to on the Revenue Problem Solvers podcast. Virtual Causeway helps fix that by shifting from demand generation to demand positioning. Instead of chasing form fills, they engineer where and how your brand appears when buyers research through AI tools and even peer networks. What's the result? Well, it's fewer cold motions, more high-intent conversations, and revenue teams actually spending time with people who want to buy. Check them out at virtualcauseway.com, and don't forget to mention the show for a special rate. Okay, so my today's guest has spent over 25 years mastering the art and science of revenue generation across some of the most demanding sectors in business. My guest today is my good friend, Neil Weitzman. Neil has built his career at the intersection of data, analytics, and revenue growth, starting as a head of insights at Rogers Media and then moving into leadership roles at Nielsen, where he ran the consumer and analytics practices. From there, he took his expertise to Deloitte as a VP of customer and audience data and insights, followed by a senior leadership role at Dentsu as his SVP and managing partner at Data to Decisions. He then led marketing and partnerships as a senior vice president at Environics Analytics before taking on, what's that?
I was going to say, that's a lot of background, man. You're making me feel really old. Let's skip all that.
On the challenge of revenue officer at RIWI Corp. Today, Neil has taken everything he's learned from building and scaling revenue engines at enterprise companies, and he's distilled it into his own practice. As a founder of Weitzman GTM and a fractional CRO, Neil partners with small and medium-sized businesses to deliver what he calls speed, clarity, and zero drama. He's also a longtime Pavilion ambassador, a co-leader of the CAF community for consultants, advisors, and fractional executives. On top of that, he runs Porch with his son, Hunter, helping immigrant entrepreneurs build a business. Neil lives by 3 simple principles that he calls the POP: passionate, optimistic, perseverance. And he prides himself on a say-do ratio of 100%. Neil, welcome to the podcast, and thank you so much for joining me.
Holy cow, I think I feel like I'm getting a Grammy or something. That was a lot. Holy cow, Carl. I don't know where you got half of that shit, man. That was great.
You've done so much, and it obviously leads everything to where you are today and all the great things you're doing. And, you know, if you can't hear the passionate optimistic, he is high energy all the time. So it's amazing. So I know quickly we're going to run out of time by the way we interact. So to kick us off, could you share with the audience a little bit about your world? What industries or verticals are you working with? What are your selling motions, size companies?
Yes. And first of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor. I know you had some incredible people on here like Mr. Robert. So just to be on the same screen as where he was and where you are is an honor. So thank you for having me.
Oh, you're too kind.
To answer your question, and I do talk too much, so I'll try to go quick here. I love what I do. I am a fractional CRO or GTM advisor. I'm not big for labels, but we have to label it something. So those are the labels I use. I mostly just try to think about how I can help CEOs and founders improve their business. Mostly small, medium size, mostly B2B SaaS, B2B SaaS / AI / technology. I've worked in a couple traditional areas like insurance, but that is my sweet spot. I love what I do. Very passionate about it. Mostly smaller businesses, mostly founder-led, growing to 2, 5, 10 salespeople type of thing. As you mentioned, Carl, makes me feel so old. I've worked in large corporations and small ones and medium ones in my very short career. And so I have a lot of skills and passions in different area, but super excited to be here and super excited to do what I do with founders. It's an honor to be able to work with a founder who trusts me. For me, it's all about trust. That when they agree to hire me, to me it's like I'm there babysitting their kids, if you will. And that's a special thing. And you don't just let anyone into your house to take care of your kids. And I treat it like that as a very special thing to do. So love what I do, but I'll shut up at this point.
No, and if you talk to any of Neil's clients, they say very similar. Like, he comes in, he works hard, he helps us get through a moment in our time, and puts us in a position for scale. So if you bring Neil on board, you'll be happy to. All right. So how we got to today's episode is I asked Neil what I ask everybody: what's a successful revenue initiative you ever led, or an existing challenge you're solving or have solved? And it was pretty immediate when he responded with, it's change management, and more so managing people who fight change. So let's lead into this. We're now in a point where change isn't expected. It's happening, whether you like it or not, every single day. And it doesn't matter if you like this, it's going on. There's this thing that happened in the world that's called AI, and it's here, and we didn't get a playbook on it. It was dropped into our laps all at the same time, and everybody's trying to figure it out. So maybe to start this, people leadership, it's hard. Leading people through change management, also hard. Is today, with all the change with AI, the most challenging time to be a leader in this, and even on the topic of change management?
Wow.
I'm going to start with an easy one for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, where do I go with that? Let me start by saying, I believe being a good leader is mostly about people management, like you said. You could be the best data guy, you could be the best salesperson, the best marketing person, functional expertise. Of course, that's kind of table stakes. But being able to recruit, build, coach, manage a team through good times and bad times and change is, to me, where the real leaders, get, cream rises to the top. To me, that's what true leadership is, not just functional expertise. And yeah, it's effing hard, in my opinion. It's also maybe the most rewarding part of being a CRO or a fractional CRO or a CMO or whoever you are. To me, if you're not finding joy and reward in the people part of it, you're in the wrong business. Like, you shouldn't be a leader, because that's what it's about, in my opinion. But so super effing hard, but super rewarding if you do it right. There's nothing like, in my opinion, being able to take someone and help them improve and grow and make them a happy person, hopefully make them, make a lot of money if that's what their goal is, and see them rise in their career. And I've got stories about that bring me to tears thinking back. So I love it, and hopefully leaders feel that way when they help people grow in whatever way they want to. But I do think change management is really, really freaking hard. It's really easy for some people and really difficult for others. And when something gets thrown at us, like AI, I don't know if that's the right analogy, thrown at us, but when some major thing happens in business or life, and you've got to work through it, whether you think it's a positive or a negative, you've got to figure out how to get through the change. I'll say one more comment and then go back to you, because see where we want to go with it is, I feel, this may be right or wrong, I feel like, I'm going to generalize, but you're one of two types of people. You're either somebody who sees change and gets excited about learning and adopting and improving. That doesn't mean it's not scary, just to be really clear. It could be really intimidating and scary, but you take it head on and you understand that it's important, and you try. You put out an effort and you work towards getting better or using it, or whatever that change may be. Or you're the opposite, and you're stuck in your ways, think that we've always done it this way, don't see why you need to learn something new or change. And sure, there's people all over that spectrum, but generally, I've experienced very much, most people are in one of those two camps. Okay, I'll pause there and let you jump in.
No, and it lands really well, right? Because there's there's a learning mindset, and then there's a closed mindset, right? Like that open and closed.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, even just you talking, and it just dawned on me in the last, 2026. So we had this thing happen at the end of 2019, early 2020. This thing, COVID, that we've heard about, right? So
Mhm.
in the last 6 years, we've had two pretty substantial changes in our life. We've had COVID landed, and we had AI landed. And why I'm tying the two together, because there's a ton of change management. For traditional businesses that I went to an office every day, everything flipped on their head. And now it's like, hey, you know what? We got to now work remote. Well, what does that look like? How do we prepare for it? Well, do we have a technology architecture that allows us to have remote workers? What's the technology needed, and how we do this? And you look at the rise of Teams as a great example. It just shot up through
Yeah.
COVID. And now you have AI, and it's that adapt, right? There's that sort of that if you're not continuously learning, you're leaving behind. It was, you hear lots of people say, get 1% better. Did you get 1% better today? And are you on a path for success?
Yeah.
But I may be coming back to it because I like how you phrase it. Are you learning? Or if you're the person that is, well, we've always done it this way, those
Yeah.
people are going to get left behind now, because the whole learning aspect is growth.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're talking about it in what's in front of us today, right? AI, incredible technology. But I don't feel that let's talk a little bit about the differences, but I don't feel there's a ton. What I mean is the people who were, who put their hands up and said, I don't need to change, I think they're the same people that would have said that on most things, whether it was AI or something else. Meaning, I've experienced people and the challenges of dealing with people who are excited for change and people who are not excited for change long before AI, right? Whether you're going through a company structural change or a major company organizational thing or a new tool even. You could think of 100 examples. You can think of people in your career, Carl, and my career, everyone who might listen to this can think of this. Just think of the people who are open and say, I want to learn, give me feedback, coach me, right? Those are the people, generally, whether it's AI or any topic, who, of course, are the people you want on your team and can get through almost anything. If you're willing to learn, to be coached, to test, to experiment, man, put those people on my team every day of the week. I don't even care if they're a 10 out of 10 expertise or a 2 out of 10. Because if you're a 2 out of 10, but you've got that attitude and that fun foundational elements, you can become a 10 out of 10, right? No issues, any topic, generally speaking. I know I'm generalizing. The opposite is not true. If you're a 10 out of 10 today, but you are closed, you don't listen to feedback, you're defensive, you're not willing to test and learn new things, you don't do it yourself, you're not out trying to test and learn things yourself, never mind when maybe your manager asks you to, both those things are important, then let's be blunt, I don't want you on my team. I just don't. Now, sometimes people inherit teams and you've got to figure out who's who, right? Who are the people who are going to grow and learn, whether it's AI or anything, and who are the people that are kind of stuck in their ways and aren't open to that change. To me, what AI has done has cemented the fact that the runway for the people who are, let's just call them more closed-minded or push change away, they're not going to exist very long. Before AI, I think those people got a pass sometimes. They just don't want to try that new tool, or we'll figure out how to get them into the right org structure here. They're just, they know what they know, and they're really valuable. So let's let them be. And I saw that happen so many, many times. They've been here for 15 years. They're amazing. Yeah, I know they don't want to adopt the new way that we're doing this, but let's just leave them be. I feel like corporations made a lot of excuses and leeway for people like that in the past. I think now they literally won't have a job in a year. That's the difference now. I think that's how quick we're moving. That's what's going on, is they got to get on board, right? We're all learning. To your point, every one of us is learning. You either are willing to learn or you're not. It's pretty simple from that regard.
There's a couple things you said that I'd like to go into. Is
Sure.
The one thing that you highlighted, you didn't say it specifically, but it's will versus skill. Do you have the willingness to learn? And I'll help you with the skill set. If you don't have the willingness to learn and you don't want to develop a skill set, well, then you're going to get left behind.
Yep.
I think it's, I want to say it's Nick Saban, but I think it's him, but he talks about average players want to be left alone. Good players want to be coached. Great players want to be told the truth.
Yeah.
And so when you factor that into your world, and maybe we go back to, because I know you've posted a few times about people that you've helped in, hey, look, you're not in the right role. I think you're going to flourish here. And then they've flourished and they've talked about, you helping them. So maybe if we go back there, because there is that's part of this whole conversation of the evolution and the growth of, leadership and change management. So I can't remember the person's name, but if we go back to that point in time, you told, I don't know what the conversation, but here's how the story I'm telling myself is, you saw somebody with a skill set that was in the wrong role and you brought it to them and said, look, you're great. You're doing good. You're doing things that are better over here versus where you currently are. And I want to help you get there. There's a change management that you had to bring to that person from a skill set, from a org structure, from a new skills, and to prepare them for the future. How did that change in management for you happen with them to put them in a position of success?
So I think what you're getting into there is, it's getting into a little bit just like, how do you manage people? And there's so many more experts out there than me. I'm just a guy who's been around the block a little bit, and I feel like I'm a good people manager. But the reason I feel that way is, and what you're getting into is what I think the right approach, which is direct honesty on any topic. Frankly, you're talking about a topic about someone's skills and superpowers and where I think they should be and having that discussion. But to me, I'll just put it in my terms. That's my style. My style is for someone, let's say, Carl, let's pretend you report to me. God forbid you would ever want to do that. But let's pretend is my style, and what I think is correct is to be, and I don't like the term brutally honest, but directly honest. It's Carl, here's where I think you're doing really, really well. I hope you want to hear this, because I hope, you're open to this coaching. Let's talk about that. But net, let's talk about where you're really good and where your superpowers are. Let's talk about where the things that maybe you're not, hitting the mark that we need you to hit today. But more importantly, I want you to leverage those superpowers and what you enjoy the most and what you're good at the most. And so, of course, hopefully by this time, if you're managing me, I know what that is. If not, of course, I'm going to ask you and have a deep conversation on it. But once we net out on what you love to do and what you're great at, and hopefully those two things align, generally they do, then my job as a leader is to put you in a position to be successful and leverage that. Right? That's it. Right? Now, if I don't have a job in my organization or on my team for you to do what you love to do / what you're great at, well, then you shouldn't be on my team. Right? Because I shouldn't be having you do something that you don't love to do and you're not great at. Now, if you're willing to learn that, that's one thing. But let's put that aside for a second. The best teams are the teams of people who love to do what they're doing and they're good at it. And my job as a leader is to understand that and put people in the right position to succeed, and to be directly honest about that. And Carl, you should want to be directly honest about that too, because of course you want to be happy and successful, I assume. And as such, let's have that discussion and put you in the right spot. And if it means that we have to have a conversation about another company being the right company for you, then let's do that, because life is short, man. And let's have that discussion and help you get there. That's not means I want to fire you. It means let's be honest about life and business and try to help you be successful long term. That's how I treat people. And that's how I want to be treated. I think too many companies aren't willing to have those honest conversations.
And you create the space for people though, right? Like you're creating a space where it's, look, I want you to feel heard. I want to be open. I want to be transparent, because that, the feedback is a gift. And then the response for those people that have, when you've had those, the directly honest conversation, the people that go, okay, yeah, Neil, I hear you. How do I get better? Or how do I do that? Are they the ones that succeed versus the ones being like, you know what, Neil, sit back, I cross my arms, I go, you have no idea.
Yeah, and those are the ones that I or hopefully the leader has direct conversations about too. And I call you on it, like I do. I'd say, Carl, I got to tell you, I feel like you're not open to trying this or testing, and that's not going to work here, right? We need a team. Like I'll be very direct and honest about those types of things, and I feel like let me give you a quick story. I had a manager. He's still the CEO or managing partner of Deloitte in Canada. His name's Anthony Vale. Awesome guy. Super nice. I worked with and for him. I was at Deloitte for a couple of years. You mentioned that. I was brought in to build this new business around marketing effectiveness and multi-channel measurement effectiveness and media effectiveness, blah, blah, blah. I won't bore you with all the details. And I was pumped and excited for it. And I gave it my all to get it off the ground. And for various reasons, it didn't work. And we had an honest conversation about, hey, Neil, if that's not going to work, and that's why we brought you in. And Anthony was direct with me, and I loved him for it, right? He didn't just not say anything. He said, Neil, your runway here is short if you don't go and generate revenue as a traditional Deloitte consultant type of thing. And he was honest with me. And I was honest in return. I said, my runway's going to be short then because I don't want to do that. But he didn't say, he could have turned around on this very direct, wonderfully honest conversation and said, okay, Neil, well then you've got to leave. Goodbye. And he could have, but he didn't. He respected me. He respected me as a person and a career and someone who was supporting his family. And he gave me runway. He said, Neil, can we agree that if you're not going to go do that to generate money and pay for yourself, let's set a time frame. You can add value in other ways, but let's set a time frame together where you've got to go find another job within X number of months. He didn't say, or else you're going to be fired. He just said, go do that. And I loved him for it. I still do. I think he's amazing. And I went and found another job, and he gave me the runway. And I'll always respect him for that. And yeah, I know Deloitte's a big company. It could probably afford to carry me for a little while. Not every company can do that. But I recommend people to go talk with Anthony. I recommend people should go work for leaders like that. And I use him as examples. So the small amount of money maybe he paid to carry me for a little bit there when I wasn't generating big dollars for them in any way, shape, or form, that's a leadership thing that sticks with you. And that's how the right way to treat people, right? Yeah, business first, but treating humans the right way as a leader is a damn close second, man.
And it'll come back to bite you in the rear end too, right? If you're the leader and you take on another role and somebody says, hey, what's it like to work for I don't know Anthony, so I'll just use you as hey, what's it like to work for Neil? Oh, don't go there. Sure. Like your reputation for the future is affected. But if you treat people the way that, with candor and transparency and even with a sense of humanistic and empathy, it changes. Like I know. Oh, sorry.
No. I cut you off. Go ahead. Sorry.
And like, there was a part where for me personally, like there was a time where I don't know if Neil remembers, but I was a hard time and I was like, look, like this is going on. like, how do I handle this? Because it was a hard moment, and I didn't seem to be able to align with the leader at the time. I was like, and Neil was kind to give me some time and said, look, you have to do either one of two things. You have the hard conversation, or you let it fester and then see where things go. But either way, you've got to make a decision and pick one. And the takeaway that I took from that, and is when you're in a leadership position, if you don't give the people the space or the ability to ask the questions, like, and you don't give them the space, it's going to create a hard moment. There's a friend of mine who played in the NHL, Luciano Borsato, and he played with the Winnipeg Jets. If you're a hockey fan, he was with Teemu Selanne in his rookie campaign, scored the 76 goal, like the whole thing, right? So he's had a really cool career. But I remember him talking with one of my teams, and he said, winning's hard. Everybody wants to win, but not everybody's willing to do the things that's required to win. And then he told us a story about how he was on the ice and he came off, and with hockey, it's not just, hey, how'd you do in the game? It's not how you do in the period. It's how'd you do by your shift. And he said, too often it would go, he goes, there was a situation where I came to the bench and I thought I had a great shift and I thought I was playing really well. And next thing you know, it's, hey, move to the middle of the bench. When you move to the middle of the bench, that means, hey, you're going to have some time out. Yeah. But he said it let it fester. And he didn't go. He goes, but what I did finally, I was like, hey, coach, can you help me? Because I think that I'm playing well, but I'm missing something. And so he said, I went and I had a direct and honest conversation. He said, hey, did you know that you're doing this? And I'm asking you to do this. And he was like, I didn't recognize it in the time, but that was the biggest thing for him. The gift of it allowed me to understand where I am. And I got out of my head because perception is reality sometimes, especially in leadership. So anyways, I tell you that story because I think it's aligned good. And also for where people are going. If you don't create the space and if you don't have that capability, it's going to be a hard time for you. And especially on the change management side, it doesn't matter if it's a position, if it's a role, if it's, look, we're shifting, just use another general term. We're shifting from HubSpot to Salesforce or Salesforce to HubSpot. The resistance can either set you in your career one way or the other.
Yeah, and I love that story, and it hits home in so many. As you're telling it, I'm like, oh my God, I got the same story. Like, I mean, there's so many analogies that plays into. For any person listening who's an individual contributor and reports to a leader of some kind, man, the difference of how you show up will dictate your career. Again, if you're listening to me, I'm trying to talk right to you, man. If you're listening to this, and I don't care if you're brand new in your job, if you think you're an expert, if you're a 10 out of 10 or a 2 out of 10, it matters very little. What matters is how you show up to your leader, right? What that means is, how do you manage up? How do you show that person that you are eager to learn, to take coaching, to get better, to volunteer to help out, to do whatever it takes? The difference is mind-boggling, and leaders have a hard job just like anyone does. All jobs are hard. I'm not trying to say leaders are in any harder of a job, but leaders have a hard job too. And one of the things they have to do is manage and lead and coach all the people on their team to improve and get better, to get the results that the company needs. And the difference that makes my day or frustrates and annoys the hell out of me is what person A and person B. And person A comes proactively to say, Neil, I messed that up. I know I did. Mistakes happen. I want to learn. Can you help me? Can you coach me? Can I book time on your calendar? I want to get better. Music to my ears. You made my day. I don't give a shit if you made mistakes like that. You can't make the same mistake 20 times, however. But I don't care. I've got all the time in the world for you. The other person who I've got to tell 10 times to go learn something or book time with me or figure it out or whatever, and I've got to direct, and they wait for an order or a direction, and they don't take initiative on themselves, the obvious nature of those two people being so different, it's literally like, I don't want them on my team if I've got to work that hard to get them to improve. They should want to improve. You should want to get better. And if you don't, please look in the mirror. Like, what are you doing if you don't want to get better, if you don't want to keep improving? That's not fair, in my opinion, to the company that you're working for if you have no desire to keep improving yourself, for the company, and more importantly for yourself and for your career. So it's really like, as a leader, it's obvious when you see those two people. And the reality is you see it very quickly, and you put people in those boxes. And you go, Steve is the guy I want on my team. Bob, I don't know, man. Not sure what's going on with Bob, and I'm not sure how long he's going to be on my team.
And going back to the whole topic of this, of like with the nuance of AI and everything that's going on, you can learn skills now faster than ever. You can ask for information and you can try to figure it out. But there's a caveat that Neil said, if you want it. And those words, I think, are the key thing. If you want it, if you're proactive, if you don't surprise your boss, and you're constantly, hey, here's what I'm doing, here's what I'm keeping them up to speed. You're constantly trying to innovate yourself. There's times now, I'll maybe ask, have you ever had times where you're like, hey, slow down, you're going too fast?
A little bit, but not as many as I wish, to be honest. That's a great problem to have. If I've got a, not someone being a horse is a bad analogy, but I'm more excited to pull on the reins a little bit and slow them down than try to get them to move faster. So all day long, if you're moving too fast for me, I'll take that. I'll try to keep up with you, or we'll talk about having to slow down a bit, but I'm excited for that conversation versus the opposite. So, and I've got people today that are on all sides of the spectrum. That's life. But it's, to your point, to bring it back to AI, Carl, I believe everything we've talked about existed for a long time in business, and we can think of all the different examples of change economically and socially and healthcare and private businesses as well. But AI is just the latest and maybe the biggest example of a change that people need to, generally speaking, jump on board with enthusiasm and eagerness and open-minded. And no one's asking anyone to be an expert tomorrow. We're just asking everybody, including ourselves, as we look in the mirror, to be willing to test and learn and experiment, because there is no playbook. But a year from now, if you haven't tested and experimented and learned, I think we all agree you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And that's not new news. And we're not saying anything that hasn't been said 1,000 times. But in the aspect of change management, hopefully this conversation, if anyone's listening, has helped people understand at least how important I think it is to get your head in the right place on it.
I totally agree with you. And I know you have to go, so we're going to run out of time, and we could talk a little longer. But as we move to the wrap up, Neil, I ask everybody, and maybe this is a good launch point, is everybody likes new and nobody likes different. And doing both at the same time can cause either friction or uncertainty. So for somebody trying to level up how they improve their leadership, and even centered around change management, where, hey, I'm somebody who I have to adapt to this change. What are 2 or 3 actionable things that you can say, hey, do these things on Monday, and it'll help you at least get you on the path?
I love it. All right. I'm only going to give you one. I'm going to just give you one. If you're already the person that has adopted the attitude, and maybe that's been you naturally, or you had to work for it, and you're already going hard and you're learning, you're experimenting, great. Keep going. I'm not talking to you. For anyone else who is not there, who has maybe fought a little bit or hasn't jumped in, who hasn't done a lot, who has kind of been just doing their thing and ignoring this thing we call AI to some degree, here's what I would suggest you do Monday morning. Go talk to your leader / manager / boss / whatever you call them, and just be honest. Please go say, I get it. I want to learn. I want to get better. I want to be focused, though. What do we have going on here at this company that I could jump in with 2 feet and volunteer, where I can experiment, run a test, pilot, do some research, whatever it may be? I want to be part of the solution. I want to learn. And just be honest about it. I guarantee you, your manager is going to say, thank you. Thank you for coming to me and volunteering and wanting and expressing that attitude. Whether they have an answer or not, they're going to love you for just doing that, in my opinion. Any leader who doesn't love you for that, send them to me and I'll talk to them. But because they should, and they might have something for you. And they might say, wow, I've been waiting for someone who wants to tackle problem A. And we don't know how to do that, but I think AI can help. Can you look into it? I don't know what they're going to say, but just start with an honest conversation. Admit that. Let me tell you a secret. If you're the person who was fighting it and not learning, they know that. They know that you're that person. So let's come clean and be honest. I guarantee you it will change everything. So do that Monday morning. Just be direct and honest, and they'll love you for it. And they'll change their mindset about you if they had put you in a box. Now that box has very clear walls, and maybe you can get out of it very quickly if you just go and have that conversation.
Amazing advice. Neil, if somebody wants to learn more about you or they want to talk to you, where do you suggest they find you?
I'm a LinkedIn guy. I'm kind of everywhere. I try to be around. I see my link tree up on the screen there. So that's best. That's got my socials and my LinkedIn and my website all there. So if anyone wants to chat, please check out the link tree, follow me, and say hi and DM me whenever you like. And Carl, more importantly, you're awesome. And thank you for having me.
Oh man, it's I will say I've had the great honor of getting to know you largely virtual because we've only met in person twice at 2 different events.
Yeah.
You have such a great energy about you, and I hope people can hear that and see that. And your positivity, it's infectious. You've allowed me to learn from you, and you've coached me through one of the more challenging times. And you told me you will be better for this. And I will tell you, it's a sticky note that's on my desk, and your friendship and mentorship means the world to me. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your inner circle because it means so much.
I'm going to go cry now. Thank you for saying all that.
That's going to wrap up another episode of the Revenue Problem Solvers podcast. I want to thank Neil for sharing these invaluable insights. There's some strategies you can put into action tomorrow. Remember, success leaves clues, and every revenue problem has a solution. Sometimes you just need the right conversation to find it. Until next time, it's Carl with the Revenue Problem Solvers, helping you turn obstacles into opportunities. Thank you for investing your time today, and we'll see you on the next episode.